Everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Geeky Cinephiles. This over here is Joe. I'm Larry the Professor. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to talk about a sequel to a classic comedy from the 90s. We're going to talk a little Happy Gilmore 2. So, Joe, did you see the original one like forever ago when it first came out?
Oh yeah, loved it. We were in the theaters, just laughing our tails off.
Yeah, it was a great movie. The first one, that and Waterboy, and then the ones what I really loved was the A Wedding Singer. I mean, all those are just classic, awesome.
Yeah,
Adam Sandler. So Adam Sandler tries to go back to the well for this Netflix exclusive, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. So stick around. All right, for to highlight what happened in this movie, at the end of Happy Gilmore, the original Happy Gilmore, he wins the big championship golf tournament, and then Shooter tries to steal his jacket, and they run him down and put him in an institution. So Happy goes on to have a really good career going in golf. He gets married to Virginia, starts popping out the kids. They have four boys that are just like Happy. And then finally have the fifth one is a girl. So they're all watching a big tournament where Happy's playing, and he accidentally kills his wife by hitting her in the head with a golf ball. And that causes Happy to no longer be happy. His life spins out of control. His wife was the one taking care of all the finances. He had no idea what he's doing, loses everything, including grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
They have to go live in a very small place. And Happy starts drinking a lot, like constantly, hiding it in the remote control, hiding it in golf clubs, hiding it everywhere he can.
Yeah.
And his daughter grows up, and she wants to be a dancer, and to send her to the best dance school possible is going to be, I think, was it $75,000 a year? Is that what they said?
Three
Something like
hundred
that.
thousand.
Was it 300,000 a year?
Cue the drama. Maybe it was 300,000 overall, but
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, whatever it was, which, yeah, if it was 75 a year, that would be 300 grand for 4 years. So yeah, that makes sense. So money that Happy doesn't have, because Happy kind of goes from Joe Job to Joe Job, kind of like in the beginning of the first Happy Gilmore movie. And his sons do too, and they all do the same stupid little antics that he did in the first movie, um, riding the horse, and then other kind of obscene gestures. This movie is PG-13. There is some crude humor in this movie, especially in the beginning of it with that. So if you're watching and you're not sure if your child should watch this, it's there. Now, if you let them watch the first one, it probably is in that same vein. I don't think it's really much more crude,
sure.
but there is some crude humor in it, just so people know. So to be able to pay for his daughter's dream, because his boys' dreams are pretty much all just joke around and horse around. He doesn't really care about sending them off to the best school, but his daughter, as a dad of a daughter, I can understand. Wants to send her off, give her the best. So he goes back and decides to start picking up golf again, but he's not golfed in, what was it, 10 years? Is that what they said?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So he tries to go golf and ends up in a foursome with three early 20 somethings that are just as annoying as all heck. And Happy continues to drink on the golf course and ends up getting into a golf cart accident, hurting the other people, and having to go to basically rehab. And of course, the rehab director is, oh gosh, not,
Ben
not
Stiller.
it is a Ben Stiller. I was going to say Ben Stiller, and then my brain said no. It's Ben Stiller, who of course was in the first Happy Gilmore movie as the horrible guy in the nursing home the grandma had to go to, but now he's the rehab guy. Some pretty funny scenes with him I actually found. I'm like, okay, he's playing this guy really well. And then so doing all this stuff, but eventually gets himself pulled together enough to be able to go back on the golf course and goes. They were having some sort of dinner for some of the majors and all this, and meanwhile, some guy approaches Happy about joining his new tour because it's going to be golf, but it's going to be an amplified, almost exports kind of golf going on with it, doing all these crazy things, and all the members on that are like really long drivers because, and you find out later it's because they've had surgery to clip an area that's supposed to help make them swing. I really doubted the science on that, but this movie wasn't meant to be a science project, I don't think.
We're not
So
relying for science.
right, and so Happy comes back and he starts doing super well, and he's winning this tournament, right? And then on the last day of the tournament, it's Mother's Day, and one of the people gets in his head about it being Mother's Day and about how he killed his wife and about how you left your kids without a mother. And of course, Happy starts messing up and then drinking and everything else, and ends up being the top 5 got to go on to face the new golf group to show which one's actually the most dominant. Happy was number 6, but one of the guy that won the tournament, actually was going over to the other group. So dun dun dun. So Happy makes the cut, and then you have this big contest set up with these exports things where they're driving. What was it? It wasn't dune buggies, but they're driving all sorts of stuff through the field, and they're doing all this stuff that's kind of crazy. And Happy also has to go and find the son of his ex-coach to try to help him out there, and that's he connects with him to be able to help him go to his happy place to be able to figure out exactly what he needs to do. Chubb's son. Carl Weathers plays Chubb's was Chubb in the movie. Originally was scheduled for a big role in this movie, but then he passed away. But yeah, so you've got, and his kid's name is Slim, and he's not Slim. It's the ironic name thing. So yes, so that's the plot of the movie. That's what's going on. That's where they end up at the end. Is they're trying to win this contest to keep the PGA from going bankrupt because there's a new company coming in. Forgetting the name on it. I had it. The Maxi Golf. Yeah. So that's what's going on in this movie. So tell me what you thought, Joe.
Well, I've got one good thing to say. I like how they used the Cult, the band The Cult, song Firewoman.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I mean, where to start? I mean, they took. It seemed like they sat down in a room and said, "Okay, list all the jokes that we had in the first one, and let's do jokes. Let's do those to make sure the audience has it."
Right.
And
yep.
all just fell flat. There was nothing. It did not. The punchline didn't kick hard. I mean, it just came off as kind of desperate at some point. It was. I didn't laugh probably the whole movie.
There were moments I laughed, but they weren't a lot. Unlike the first movie where I laughed a lot, this movie's laughs were not as often. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were desperate to get out a sequel because it had been so long, and a lot of movies are doing that. They're going back to the well from things from the 80s and 90s and making those sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Top Gun, Maverick, did that and did it very successfully. Did hit some of the same points that the original movie did, but also had a different story and everything else. Where this one, pretty much the same story. Now, I would say I enjoyed seeing some of the golfers in there, the real golfers in there. Tim Daly was in there, living in Happy's garage. and then sitting on his couch. That was pretty. John Daly, not Tim Daly. John Daly is what I meant to say. And so that one's kind of funny. There were some other little funny things with there. And the guy who played Shooter McGavin comes back, gets out of the mental institution, and the Maxi golf people go and get him out and think that he's going to work for him. And of course, Shooter was the one who was passionate that you don't want people like Happy on the tour. Nevertheless, doing this other thing that they're doing. So that was. So I'm like, okay, well.
With all the cameos, it felt like Adam Sandler was like, all right, I want to make this movie, have it be a big party. Let's invite everybody.
Right. It did feel that way, yes.
It was over the top. It was, even in the scene with Travis Kelce, what was the point of him slamming into one of the other golfers and breaking the table? He was
because that's a football thing to do, right? Because that's humor. You've got a football player in a golf movie, and you slam into each other, so you can,
Yeah, and
I don't know.
It just seemed like way too much. And the golfers were not good actors. I mean, you could tell that they were just saying a line; they didn't know how to say it.
That's true.
I
agree.
We've seen it before. A lot of times when you take a comedy or another movie, a sequel to it 30 years later, it just doesn't go very well.
You have to have a really good script. And what I heard was the original script with Carl Weathers was a good script. I think it was the fact that they announced something was going to happen and then felt like they had to put something out. And so they created this movie.
Yeah, there was no imagination in the script whatsoever. No
there
new
really
joke.
Wasn't. And the whole Maxi golf thing was pretty ridiculous,
Oh, it was so ridiculous. Like, are we making this kids movie or,
but some of the humor is definitely not kids humor. So
yeah.
So yeah, and Ben Stiller. Basically, we've seen Adam Sandler have these kind of movies before that are just where he seems to try really hard, but nothing really hits. So we've seen that. Now he's had a lot of good hits and a lot of movies I love. Like I said, Waterboy is one of those. The Wedding Singer is a great one. This does put fear in my heart because they were talking a Wedding Singer sequel, and I'm like, ooh, it better be better than Happy Gilmore too.
Man. I set myself up for it. I knew when they were talking about it, people started getting excited about it. And I was like, it's not going to go well, because any Adam Sandler's movies the last 20 years are terrible. I mean, maybe there was one good one here and there, but they are just awful. And he and his writer that they did all these movies together. They've done every single movie together. And they had no imagination in this, and they need to change up their joke writing process because
their shtick. Yeah.
I couldn't wait for this movie to get done.
Well, and the craziness at the end, you're just like, what are we doing? I don't even know. That contest was kind of crazy. So I'm like, okay.
And I felt like,
what is this?
Yeah, I felt like, okay, alcoholism. They're like, okay, what's one of the hot topics we need to cover today? So let's put that in there. And then the Maxi golf, there were both unnecessary subplots. You didn't need those in there at all. All you had to do was have Shooter released,
right,
and then they could go back to the battle or something along those lines.
Right.
Like, let's put this in here and this in here, and it was frustrating to watch.
Well, and Shooter ends up being on Happy's side. So I guess that might be one of those things that somebody said, what we really want to see is Shooter be on Happy's side.
Yeah.
That may have been part of it. I don't know. I just know that they did do some interesting flashbacks and showed clips from the original movie. The Bob Barker clip was in there. All of that. I mean, so you're like, okay, they're paying tribute, but the movie just felt like it was a kind of a generic ripoff tribute to the original one. You know, where you get the movie that comes out that's really big, and then you get the one a year later that's kind of like it but different, and you're like, oh, that one's not nearly as good. Pacific Rim had a knockoff called Atlantic Rim, and that was horrible. You're like, what in the world? So, you know, those sort of things is kind of what it felt like a lot.
Yeah.
His juvenile humor level from Happy Gilmore played really well when he was in his 20s. Not as well when he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right. But, you know, like, you would think the character might have grown a little more. Maybe if you would have focused on one of his sons doing something similar, then you would have that humor of where he's like, oh, I thought, you know, I had to go through this, but hoping you wouldn't have to, sort of thing. But no,
they could have done that. They could have had one of his sons playing on the tournament. He had to teach him.
Right. The other thing with it is his daughter had a little bit of character development. His sons had none. None at all. They're just there to add in the stupid humor of what they're doing on their jobs in the show. He's so poor, he's got 5 kids and doesn't have a wife to be able to handle his finances, and he killed her, so we're going to do this.
And you're going to kill off the love interest? Like,
right, and then she comes back later as a ghost. So I'm like, well, she's in the movie.
Yeah.
Why not cause them to have friction, right? Why not have them on the verge of divorce or something where you've got that interaction going on? That would have been better than you killed your wife and you become an alcoholic since then.
Yeah. And he was... Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
I know he was drinking during the movie out of, you know, all these remote controls and things like that. But he, on one tournament, he gets drunk and kind of makes a fool of himself, and that was his his downfall. You know, he didn't go crazy like a normal alcoholic would. It's just, oh, I put my head in the sand and I looked stupid, but oh well, you know, there wasn't anything to overcome, is what I'm trying to say. That wasn't
right
challenging for a character, you know.
Other than having to deal with Ben Stiller again.
Yeah, jeez.
and I was wondering about his character, that he was having all these people on doing the alcohol recovery, because it wasn't AA, but alcohol recovery program. He's having them do all this work, and I'm like, are you teaching them karate? I don't know. I'm like, I'm expecting you to be Mr. Miyagi at this point. Paint the windows.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. You know, I think one of the things about Adam Sandler when he first started out, that was funny. He was charming, but he had a little bit of a temper, and his jokes were kind of crass, kind of dirty.
They were, yeah.
And the humor was kind of edgy. You know, now it just seems like it's written for kids and deadpan. There's no comedy delivery. There's nothing that makes you think, oh man, you know, like Billy Madison, that was a great, very clever comedy. That would never happen in real life, but you know, they took a good part of that and made it funny.
Right.
I don't think he is that. I don't think he's funny anymore.
Well, you know, and as you grow, your humor should change some with that. But I know you're also trying to do a sequel to something that's kind of a standard of humor from the 90s. Also, 90s humor is not as well accepted today as it was 30 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of things that you cannot say now that he said in movies in the 90s. So it's really a really interesting place to go in trying to make a sequel now. If you would have made a sequel 3-4 years afterwards, I think that would have been different. But waiting till now, it almost feels like you're like, I'm running out of money. I need a sequel to give me some more money.
Yeah, it's almost what it felt like.
And I like Adam Sandler typically. I mean, even though I always find his humor the same, but I find him, especially in stuff to where he's not relying so much on his timing and deadpan stuff. Thinking of like 51st Dates and The Wedding Singer, it really was more about the story in those and some funny things that happened with it, some funny things he could do, but it wasn't really that same level as like a Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore or even Waterboy, which doesn't. I don't see the growth in him, at least as this character, at all. So,
and I get it. It's broken Netflix records for how many downloads or views or whatever. But it's, I don't know. They threw all kinds of unnecessary stuff in there. The guy that Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah.
At one point, the guy owner of the league says, "Oh, you can't wear shorts on this course," and he's like, "I'll take the penalty," and then he just keeps playing on. And I'm like, go anywhere. There was no purpose. I thought maybe they'll come back to it later. Nope, there was no purpose.
Yeah, if you would have lost by a stroke,
right,
then you're like, oh, you're taking the stroke penalty and you lost because of it. No, it never did come back to it. You're right.
And they never updated his happy place.
Nope.
Chubbs helped him find it, but he never. I don't think he ever went back to it, did he?
Not in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of things were kind of started and not really continued there.
Oh man, that was. Yeah. It felt like with all the cameos too. It felt like Adam Sandler and his writer were just like, all right, with all these people in this movie, that's what the audience wants to see. They don't care about storyline or plot. They'll think it's awesome because there's all these famous people in it.
Right. Well, and you're going back to a beloved character for a lot of people. So, yeah. Okay. So we're going to go back in. We're going to show all the characters and what's going on 30 years later. And, and that's pretty much it. So we're it doesn't have to be plot heavy. We're just going to go tell a few crew jokes and let his sons kind of, dance around and whatever. Like, okay. All right.
It had zero imagination.
I concur. It was not. Honestly, I thought to myself, I'm a writer. I like to write stuff, but I've never written a movie. But I'm like, I think I could do better than this one.
I do too. I very much.
Yeah.
If he was a guy just off the street, there's no way that movie would get made.
Nope, not at all.
But he's what I think my brother even told me. He's like, yeah, Joe, but he made something like $500 million off of all his movies. I'm like, I know. He doesn't pay attention to the critics. It's all about the audience. But
right. Well, and I want that a lot of times. I want the audience. I would rather see a movie made for the audience than I would for the critics. But that's just me. But speaking of that, let's see what people said about it, Joe.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's go over to Rotten Tomatoes, and critics were not really high on this movie. Had a 63%, which is still considered to be fresh because it's over 50. I was kind of surprised the critics didn't rip it apart more, but 63%, which is not a great amount. But you would think that, okay, well, the critics are pretty low on it, but surely a lot of people going into Netflix and watching it, so surely the fans like this, right? 67%, which is probably one of the lowest popcorn ratings we've had for any movie we reviewed.
Yeah.
So you have that. You've got IMDb listing it at a very mighty 6.2 out of 10. You have
6.2.
Yeah. Now the Google rating's a little better. Google rating 3.7 out of 5, which is pretty strong for it. A lot of times it'll be in the 4s, but for this movie with that, okay. Letterboxd gave it a 2.8 out of 5. So that was a little closer to what I was kind of expecting with some of the reviews. But yeah, overall, the critics and the fans didn't love this movie, even though a lot of people went and watched it. And I'm sure part of it was, hey, Happy Gilmore's on, and the and on Netflix they had the original one on, and then they added the new one and said the original is only here for another week. So they're like, oh, I better go watch the original again and then watch this one.
Yeah.
And, oh, well, okay, well, I saw it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the critics did not love this movie, nor the fans.
I could skip it next time.
Yeah, it goes on the skip list. I agree. So, Joe, how do you rate this movie? Give it a letter grade here. What are we doing with this?
It had zero imagination. It was lazy writing, no creative joke telling. I'm giving it an F. I hate
going
it.
F. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
2 hours of this, it should have been an hour and a half.
Right. And were you sitting there thinking this has to get better? There's going to be a payout here somewhere?
Yeah.
At least for 45 minutes. And you're like, okay, maybe there's no payout.
Yeah, no payout. I was with you. I kept waiting. Like, okay.
I liked it a little better than you. And that was because I liked some of the guest spots. I liked that they played to the fans. Like, okay, I loved John Daly on the couch and living in the garage. I thought that was fun. So I'm like, okay, I'll give him that. I'll give him a little bit of here and there where I laughed. I'm giving it a D plus. So
well, nice. Got the plus even.
Yeah, I got the plus. Yeah, and so Happy Gilmore 2 gets an F from Joe and a D plus for me. Probably, I think that's our lowest rating, especially together. I don't think I don't think we've ever gone that low on a movie, but not on our fandom list here. So give us the original one all day long, but not the sequel.
I am not Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, and he wasn't happy. What was up with that?
I know.
I kind of expected maybe he would go and after being a golf pro end up in NHL or one of the minor leagues or something where he actually would get to play and maybe somebody had taught him how to skate something with this character, but that was not to be. So, all right, well, very a poor rating on our rating meter. Let us know if you disagree with us as you guys are watching us and commenting here. Did you like Happy Gilmore 2? Is it worth your time, or did you find it to be a huge waste of your 2 hours that you'll never get back? Let us know, and we'll be back with you next week for another episode of Geeky Cinephiles. So come back next Monday, check us out, see what we're talking about then, because you never know if we're going to be reviewing a movie, doing a list, or whatever we're going to be talking about, but it's going to be based around our love for movies. So check us out next week. Until then, stay geeky and keep watching movies. We'll see you